So today I'm talking about the Disir. And if you know me, you'll know I talk about the Disir a lot. It's a subject that I spend a lot of time talking about, and the Disir are an energy that I work with a lot in rituals, but also in various parts of my life as well. So, who are the Disir? Well, the Disir are a Norse concept, and they basically are an ancestral feminine energy which whose role it is to protect us. And in some ways, it feels like they're there to protect us as individuals. But in many ways, it sometimes feels as though their role is less about protecting us and more about protecting our ability to fulfill our destiny, to fulfill our fate. So, in that way, the Disir are very linked with the Norns. Often, Disir worship and Disir celebration is associated with winter. And I guess this makes sense because when you think about the Disir and winter, you think about how Norse culture worked with winter. So everybody would be indoors, you would have your selection of supplies, you would all be trapped into a big house together, trying to survive the coldest weather. So going in to the longhouse at the beginning of winter, you may not know by the end of winter whether or not you would survive. So working with the Disir at this time seems like a really good thing to do. So working with the Disir and asking them to protect you and asking them to help you to get through the cold, the lack of food if you didn't have enough supplies for that year, to get through the viruses that would have been running through the longhouse with everybody kept in close confinement. So really, the Disir, you can see why they would be considered this time of year. So a lot of people work with the winter mothers, and every year I try really hard to work with the winter mothers, and I do a little bit of work with them, but then I always find that winter gets in the way, and I have an element of seasonal tiredness. So I find that when I'm working through December, January, I really just want to go and have a sleep. And getting really down and working magically is something that just doesn't seem to really happen for me. So February is the time when I start getting back, when I start doing work again, when those first little shoots of spring are starting to come around, when the earth is starting to thaw a bit. And really, this is, if you look at some of the stories about the Disir and some of the writing about them, the Disting was a festival that happened in Sweden, and this was in February. So I think it was the end of February rather than the beginning of February, but I live in the UK and my spring is just happening now. It's the 1st of February and we're just at what we call in the UK Imbolc. So for me, this always seems like the perfect time to start working with the Disir. So you may hear in my voice that I am recovering from one of those winter viruses. So I hope that this doesn't affect your enjoyment of this video too much. But what we're doing here is we're looking at the Disir. So I'm going to tell you my experience and how I work with them, and also some of the sort of historical descriptions of Disir and how others within the Norse and witch communities may work with them. And then we'll end with a meditation to meet your Disir. And the Disir meditation is at the end of this video. And I do have a Hey Marvelous platform, so this will be expanded on in that Hey Marvelous platform. And what I mean by this is that I will add the video of the meditation there separately, and also another Disir meditation for people to use. Rather than meeting the Disir for the first time, this will be an opportunity that you can use over and again to talk to the Disir every time you want to have communication with them. So that's my Hey Marvelous platform, which I love because it doesn't have any of the adverts or skipping on to the next section. So I'll add the link to that in the description as well. So we think of the Disir as being ancestral female energy. Now, when we talk about ancestral, for me, the Disir don't feel like ancestors. They don't feel like people who have lived. They feel like they are energies that have been passed down to me by my ancestors, that are part of my energetic inheritance. So they feel very much a part of my ancestry and my family. And it could be that these Disir also did the same job for my great grandparents or my great great grandparents, and going back and going back. So they don't feel to me, and other people may disagree, but they don't feel to me as though they're ancestors. They feel as though they are part of my ancestral inheritance. They're part of the energy that I'm gifted at birth, or, sometimes we think about it maybe as at conception. So there are some descriptions in the Norse that say that a baby gains its soul when it gains a name. So I took this and I named my children when I was pregnant very young, like very early in the womb. So as soon as I knew their gender, I gave them names. So, but it's something that is a descriptions that people were given names by a father. So you would take the baby to the father, and the father would give the baby a name, and at that point it would have its soul, as it were. It would then have its sort of I am living. So I wonder if part of rather than you getting your Disir at birth, you're gifted your Disir when you're gifted your name. And this for me means that your Disir are part of you, your Disir are with you, whether or not you have any contact with your genetic family, whether or not you have any knowledge of who your genetic ancestors may be. It's simply a part of the energy that you have at birth. Basically, it's part of that, just like you inherit what color eyes you have, and whether or not you have a bit of a temper from your ancestors. And it doesn't matter whether you knew them or not, that's still part of your makeup. I feel like the Disir are similar to this. So it's not something you have to go searching for your ancestors to find your Disir energy. Your Disir energy is yours. Now, you may share some Disir with some members of your family. So you may have family Disir, you may have Disir that are connecting you to your children, to your parents, to your siblings, but you will also have your own personal Disir that are just yours, and their role is simply to protect you. And when I say protect, part of the Disir's work, I think, isn't necessarily to keep you safe in terms of your body and safe in terms of feeling good. I don't know if they're less concerned with happiness and more concerned with keeping you alive. I guess a bit like the nervous system. I feel that the Disir's role is very much around keeping you fulfilling your destiny, making sure that you fulfill the fate that you're supposed to fulfill. And I do feel that this is part of the Disir's work. You may not have ever sensed your Disir at all until you went looking for them. Or you may find that at times when you're in danger, or times when you're very ill, or any time when there's something that will stop you from continuing on the path that you're meant to continue on, you may feel your Disir connection there. But again, they are not sort of human. They're a different kind of energy. So the way that the Disir interact with you may be different than the way that an ancestor or a protective spirit that is more kind of human in content may work with you. So I have felt my Disir at various points in my life. One of the big points in my life where I recognised Disir intervention was during the 7/7 bombings in London, which were, I guess, kind of coming up to 20 years ago now. But I was supposed to be on the train, or I was standing on the platform of the Piccadilly line train that would have blown up. And my Northern Line train was so late that morning. I'd also had an operation the day before that I didn't want to have. I definitely didn't want to go into work after the operation, but I'd bypassed that whole have the operation, stay at home, stay safe there. I'd kind of fought against that somehow and gone to work. But I found myself on that platform and I looked at how busy the trains were, and I sort of felt where I'd had the operation and was like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to get on that train. So I got down, I risked being late, and I just started walking to work instead. Now, my route would have taken me round through where the bus blew up. But because I get very lost, and maybe because I was a bit brain foggy from the operation the day before, and it was a minor operation. I didn't kind of go under general anesthetic and then try and go to work. It was just a minor operation. But I maybe was feeling a bit dissociated from that. But I walked a really odd way, got completely lost, and it took me way away from where I was meant to be. And I was very late for work as well. But obviously when I got to work, I realised that the bus had blown up and that I would have been in the way. And walking to work, I was really angry with how my morning had gone and really frustrated. But when I got to work, I almost felt this sense of loving energy, protective energy, this sense of fate, this sense of things were exactly as they were meant to be. And I feel that obviously my Disir wouldn't have been telling me not to get, they wouldn't have said, oh, this train's going to blow up. That's not something they would have done. But they kept me in a place where I was safe, which meant that I could then fulfill my destiny for the next parts of my life. So this is sort of the way the Disir work. You almost feel like you're being picked up and placed down somewhere completely different. There's a real sense of that you maybe feel frustrated against them, but they will feel that sense of love, that sense of fate, that sense of it's meant to be. There's no, so when the Disir are around, you don't feel that sense of panic. You feel that sense of this is just as it is. But frustration, because you may not understand why you're being picked up and put somewhere else, or why the course of action that you were trying to do was somehow blocked to you. And the Disir are also associated with the Norns, and they're used within the descriptions almost interchangeably. So they may be talking about a Norn and a Disir. They may talk about the Norns that you're given at birth. And sometimes when the Disir are described, it's almost as though they're being handed to you as threads of fate, So it's almost as though these threads that become part of the web of weird are almost Disir themselves. So the Norns, the Disir, the web of fate, what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to get there is all very much woven in and linked in together. So this may explain why the Disir are female, or why they're considered to be female, why we always see them as female. It may be because of their really strong link with the Norns, and of course the Norns are linked with the Greco-Roman fates, who are also female. So that may be why it's a particular female energy, but it also may be because it comes from the female side of the family. Although, if you're gifted your Disir when you're gifted your name, that might suggest that your Disir come from, they're the female part of your father's line. So this is just my kind of suggestions of what it might be. You may have your own ideas, but this may again be a reason why the Disir are female rather than seen as no gender or seen as all genders. And the Disir are also associated with fertility. And that means that it could be that the Disir blots and the distings were to do with making sure that babies are arriving later in the year. So when we think about the Disir as being connected to fertility, we may consider this as them keeping you safe in order to fulfill your destiny. So obviously we see fertility as very different now to the way it would have been in the Norse. But part of that, the destiny of a person being born and then passing on their genes. So that's also the role of the Disir. And possibly because of this, the Disir would also be invoked for birth as well. So the Disir would be a big part of birth ritual as well as fertility rites. And the word Dis is also associated with goddesses. So it's also associated with various names, which we're adding kind of goddess protected or goddess to the end of. So Disir may be a way of describing them as being sort of mini goddesses or mini deity. But again, links in with the Disir being female, because Dis being specifically female deity or female goddess rather than male deity. So the Disir are connected with deity, with goddess energy because of this. So do we need to strengthen our connection with the Disir? Do we need to make sure that we give them energy and offerings? Well, certainly in the Norse writings, it seems to be that we did have specific times when we worked with the Disir, specific times when we gave them offerings. And I think we can continue this today. I think we can consider that strengthening our Disir and forming a link with them is actually a really good thing to do. Do we need to do this? I think our Disir will always be here for us, but who doesn't want strong Disir? Who doesn't want to have that connection with them? And also, who doesn't want to talk to their Disir about choices that they make? You know, when we're making a choice whether to do something or not, a conversation with the Disir sounds like a really good way to ensure that we are staying safe, staying protected, and fulfilling the destiny that the Disir want to protect for us. So having a conversation with the Disir when you want to make a decision, or when you feel that things are kind of fighting against you for whatever reason, is also a really good idea to do. Another way that I personally work with the Disir is I work with them in a ritual context. So when I work with the Disir, what I would do before I start a ritual, particularly if it's one where I'm working with other entities like spirits or ancestors, then I would invoke the Disir, and I invoke them and I ask them to protect me. So I be very specific in my instructions because Disir. And these instructions usually are I'm asking them to keep me safe. So I'm asking them to keep my body safe. But then I'm also asking them to not let through anything that I can't deal with at this time. So anything that's not safe, just completely not safe, and anything that I can't handle right now. So, for example, if a spirit of somebody who has passed very recently wants to come and talk, I may not be ready to communicate with that spirit. Or it might not be safe for me to communicate with them in that particular ritual because I have other jobs to do. So part of the thing that I ask the Disir for is what's not right now. So not this thing is big, scary and dangerous and keep the big, scary, dangerous things out. Entities don't usually think of themselves as big and dangerous. I'm asking them to keep out anything that's going to harm me or anything that I can't handle right now at this moment. So that's how I would invoke the Disir in ritual. And I would do this in the way of invoking what I refer to as a Disir circle. I also have something to represent the Disir on my hearth. So I have a fire in the room that I use most. It's not a great fireplace, but I am now using this as an almost an altar. So the Disir, and this, I don't know how easy that is for you to see, but I have a little Disir stone that I got from Etsy. I'll see if I can find the link to put in the description. But this little stone that I got from Etsy, I use to represent the Disir so that I always have a representation of the Disir on my hearth. So they protect my home and they protect my space as well. Another female entity that the Disir are associated with in the Norse is also the Valkyries, and that's because Disir are often found on the battlefield. And again, this may be connected with their role as being protectors and ensuring that people are able to fulfill their destiny. But the Valkyries are very associated with warriors. So this means that sometimes we can associate the Disir with warriors too. So I also invoke the Disir as within their warrior shield maiden type face as well. So that is a short-ish description of who the Disir are and how you can personally work with them. So now what we're going to do is go into the meditation part of this video, and this is written as a bit of a journey. So you will sort of go into a trance state, but it will all be spoken. So I'm speaking you into this guided meditation, otherwise known as path workings by some people. So what we're doing here is we're meeting with the Disir, and this meditation suggests that you're meeting the Disir for the first time. So this is the first point when you're meeting the Disir. So in this meditation, you can communicate with your own Disir and ask them how they would like to be remembered and what they do for you personally. So let's get started. So now do whatever it is that you need to do to make sure you're comfortable. So you might need a blanket, you might want to light a candle or some incense. Do whatever it is that you need to do in order to feel comfortable, but also in order to create a sacred space for you. So feel free to stop the video and prepare all that. Or if you've already got that sorted and you've prepared to start with, we can just carry on and go straight into it. So if you just really feel your body, be aware of how your body feels, be aware of any heaviness or tension in any parts of it, become aware of how you're breathing, and you're going to just raise your eyes now. So you're just going to let them raise very gently. So you're causing a bit of heaviness and tension in your eyes. Your eyes will be, as they look upwards, they will just be feeling that little bit uncomfortable. And this will be causing you to blink. And just let those blinks come and recognize that slight discomfort is helping you to want to move into relaxation. And just now allow those eyes to close. So just let those eyes close and just feel that sense of relaxation. Feel the sense of peace coming over your eyes and just sort of spreading like almost a downward motion through the rest of your body. And maybe right now you're wondering what I'm going to do and say to help you to move into trance. But just relax that curiosity away, because you're in control and you will choose to take that step down into trance whenever you're ready. Whenever you're ready, you will simply allow yourself to slide into that deeper relaxation, where every word I say takes you deeper and deeper into trance. And you may be becoming aware of some of the sounds and sensations from around you. And from now on, every sound and every sensation will just take you further and further into relaxation, so that you feel wonderful. And I'm wondering now, as you listen to my voice and as you slide into that beautiful feeling of bliss and peace, what thoughts might right now be coming into your head? And today, maybe you'll see these thoughts not as distractions, but as beautiful reminders of the things your subconscious wants you to hold on to. And maybe today you will see these thoughts as feathers dropping down onto you, around you, down, dancing through the air, speckled feathers, pure white feathers, blue-tipped feathers, shimmering feathers, twisting and dancing and floating. Follow these feathers with your eyes, with your gaze, focusing on them one by one. As you watch one trickle through the air and then fall, and as that one falls, picking your gaze up to choose another to follow, to chase with your eyes. And I'm wondering how those feathers are feeling as they land onto your skin. And I'm wondering if you're wondering what birds these feathers have come from. And I'm wondering if you're feeling how soft they are, how soft the feather feels, and whether you can see the spiky ends and feeling the spikiness of those ends, those feathers being both wonderfully, wonderfully soft, but also those prickly ends. And just let those feathers fall now onto your feet. And as they fall, just feel the muscles in your feet begin to relax. And now push that relaxation up through your calves, through your knees, your thighs, your hips, all relaxing. And feel the strength within your hips as the feathers fall into your lap. Relax your hips and your stomach, just letting any tension just release now into the cascading pile of feathers. And push that relaxation up now into your chest and across your back. Feel your shoulders fall, and that relaxation of your dropped shoulders travel down your arms and into your elbows, into your hands and along each individual finger, all relaxing one by one, following your mind's cue, that direction to simply relax. And let those feathers fall around your throat as your breathing deepens and begins to feel easier. And as the tension melts from around your throat and your neck, and that back of your neck welcoming the feathers as they fall, as though they're massaging the back of your neck and the top of your shoulders like tiny fingertips. And let that relaxation rise up now into your face as you relax your jaw and let that hang comfortably, as you feel the relaxation through your muscles around your eyes. Feel that relaxation across your forehead as the tension just melts from your facial muscles. And push that relaxation up above your head and then down like a ripple to the tips of your toes, so that you feel wonderful. And so you feel so deeply relaxed as you look out at the carpet of feathers, feeling so very deeply relaxed. You begin to think about your Disir who were with you at your birth, who were gifted to you by your ancestors, who were there for you before your birth. Your Disir have sat with you, they've laughed with you, they've cried with you throughout your life, and they will continue to do so. Because your Disir are so much a part of who you are. To meet your Disir, all you have to do is call to them, for they are always there. And to call to them today, we will chant the rune Ortala. And as the vibrations of the Ortala rune hang in the air, the feathers that lay around your feet rise up and begin to swirl, swirling together, connecting, gathering up, and the feathers swirl into bird shapes that hang in the air in front of you. And as you watch them, those many, many bird shapes hovering ahead of you, you see the feather birds now swoop towards you, and you feel their soft but spiky touch as they swoop down to you, gathering you up, and you feel your body becoming lifted up into the air. And maybe now you're wondering where the feather birds will take you. But you already know, for the birds were waiting for you to choose the place where you feel most safe. So choose now, and this is where the birds will take you. And now you see that place ahead of you as the birds swoop down, and you find yourself coming closer and closer to the ground, and you find yourself once more sitting. As the feather birds now transform into women, many, many female figures before you. You can't make out all of their faces, but maybe you can make out one or two, and I'm wondering what they look like today for you. You can now talk to the Disir. Ask them, first of all, how they keep you safe. And they will tell you this information, maybe in words as though they're speaking to you, maybe in sounds, maybe in song, maybe in pictures or in images in your mind, or they may even communicate to you as memories. But they will communicate to you now. And now, as those visions begin to fade, ask the Disir how you can strengthen your connection to them. Communicate now. And now ask your Disir if there's anything they'd like you to know. Communicate now. And now ask your Disir if there's anything they'd like you to know. And now, as those visions begin to fade, you know your Disir are always with you. And as you start to become aware once more of your body, to feel your connection to this space, I'm going to bring you back to your everyday consciousness. And I will do this by counting from 1 up to 5. Are you ready? You will use these numbers to reorientate yourself. And on the count of 5, your eyes will be fully open and you will feel fully alert and contented and fully awake and ready to continue with your day. You will feel completely rested and rejuvenated and be feeling wonderful about yourself inside and out. Let's begin. 1. Slowly, calmly, easily and gently returning to your full awareness once again. 2. Feeling completely rested and refreshed and ready to continue your day. 3. From head to toe, feeling wonderful inside and out, physically fresh, mentally balanced, and emotionally calm. 4. Your eyes begin to feel sparkling clear and fresh. And 5. Eyes wide open, fully aware, and feeling wonderful. And now just have a bit of a stretch if you need to, and we can put this video to close now. And hopefully you've learned a lot about the Disir as others see them, but hopefully you'll also have learnt a lot about the Disir as you see them and how you can personally work with them.